Hello and welcome back to the Cash vs. Trash podcast with your host, Rob.
And Demi, where we watch the highest and lowest grossing movies of each year from 1970 to 2021 picked at random, then decide if they deserve the title of either cash or trash.
Yeah, this week is the lowest grossing movie of 2016, The Choice.
Yep, a movie based on the book by Nicholas Sparks.
Book of the same name, 2007 book.
Yep.
Nicholas Sparks, if that name is familiar to you, wrote The Notebook, which I believe is the same name as the movie.
Yeah.
And
I think every movie is the same name as the book.
yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes they change it, but
Yeah, for him because it's like directly from the book, so.
yeah.
But the Notebook is probably his most favorite one. His most popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your favorite.
It is my favorite movie.
Yeah. I had a lot of bad things to say about The Notebook when you forced me to watch it at gunpoint. And another movie based on one of his books, The Last Song.
Yeah, that was also a good one. Yep.
I saw that somehow of my own volition. I don't know why I watched it.
Because you love it secretly.
I think I honestly cannot remember why I watched it. I think it was just, when you watch every movie on, like, back when DVDs were a thing, and I grew up out in the country, so
You had to illegally download movies.
My mum was a major cinephile, just like I am, or we are, I should say, and she still does have like thousands of DVDs, and she would just, every movie that would come out, she would just buy
the
it.
DVD.
Yeah. And there was that one there, and I recognized Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, Australia's own Liam Hemsworth, and was like, oh yeah, crap. But
No, it's good.
I'm not a fan of romance to begin with, so people who are a fan of romance might think I'm being a bit of a grouch this episode, but The Choice makes The Last Song look like Citizen Kane and makes The Notebook like what the descriptions of looking at an angel must be like. Because this movie is so fucking bad. Oh yeah, sorry. You're probably going to see it. We don't know yet. I'll edit this out if it's not the case. But this episode's probably going to get a bit spicy because this movie sucks so bad. I'm just giving it away there. We've got a lot to talk about with this movie.
Yeah. Probably going to be a lot of swearing.
Yeah, because, oh boy.
It's very warranted though.
There's only so much willpower I have to hold in the anger. But for Toy Story 3, it's a great movie. For Buried, it's a great movie. We had a bit to talk about there, but in a good way. For Captain America Civil War, it's a great movie, or good at least. And it's hard to talk about movies that you don't really have any big problems with. But boy, oh boy.
Are there some problems with this movie?
Well.
Anyway, so this is his most recent movie.
Is it?
Yeah, he hasn't made another one after this.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so this was the lowest grossing of 2016. They had a budget of...
And that's according to boxofficemojo.com, which is what we go off just in case anybody was going to come in and be like, oh, actually. And it only has 200 movies on here. I can't imagine many more movies than that come out every year that are like... that would make this sort of list. And this is 199 on the list because the one below it was Penny Pincher, which didn't get a domestic, as in the US release, which disqualifies it because it's an
Not
unfair
fair,
fight.
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
The budget for this movie was $10 million. And then the grossing, so in America, it made $18,730,891. International, it made $4,333,124. And altogether, it made about $23.4 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I mean...
So it did pretty well.
Well, $10 million budget. Then you add in marketing and advertising, all that's the same thing, you know, which from what I understand is meant to be the same, if not more than, well, it wouldn't be more, but you pretty much double your budget. And that's, I don't know if that's true. That's just what I hear. I apparently marketing costs a lot of money.
So they don't factor that into the overall budget?
Well, because it's the budget of the production,
Yeah.
and marketing is
After.
because it doesn't affect how the movie is made or how much people get paid who made the movie. Like, it's a separate thing.
Yeah.
So
it did okay, but not great. Well, if it was the lowest.
if it made 23 million and let's say the marketing is $10 million, which matches the budget, then they made just over $3 million profit, which is bugger all.
Yeah.
Which probably explains why there hasn't been another one since.
Yeah.
Because they were pumping out these sorts of movies, the Nicholas Sparks movies, like
nearly every year or so?
Yeah, I'm just going to get a list up of, so if you hear noises, that's just me click-clacking, sorry. Like one of his movies, where is it? Here we go. By Nicholas Sparks. And we're not going to talk about the book. Neither of us have read it.
No.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about the movie. We're talking about whether or not it made money and all that sort of stuff. So that's the important thing for us today. Yeah, Nicholas Sparks. His books that came out. My brain just stopped working again. I've got the list in front of me, so I'm just going to start reading.
Okay.
The Notebook. Well, these are the books. Oh, sorry. It's got film to TV adaptations. The first one was Message in a Bottle. And I won't read out all the titles, just the years. That was 1999. Then another one in 2002. Then 2004. That one was The Notebook. Then 2008, 2010. Another one in 2010. Then 2012, then 2013, then 2014, and another one in 2014, then another in 2015, and this one in 2016, and there hasn't been one since.
Yeah.
Because, well, A Walk to Remember, I've heard of, The Notebook, obviously, Nights in Rodanthe, however you say that, Dear John, The Last Song, I think I've heard of The Lucky One, The Best of Me, and The Longest Ride, and The Choice. I've all heard of those, and that only leaves a couple left. And I've always heard that they're pretty standard.
Yeah,
good,
romantic.
Yeah. But this movie just hurt me.
Oh, it's bad.
Like, this episode's probably going to be a little bit all over the place because we have so much to talk about. I have so many notes. And it's just going to be all over the place, this one, but
Yeah.
don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. I'll put a little thing in the description, same as I always do when we upload it, about where you can find it. We watched it on YouTube, but don't worry about spoilers. If you can imagine a drama romance movie, this is it.
Yeah. But make it bad.
Yeah, but make it
Terrible.
just terrible. Honestly, you know what? Go watch it for yourself, actually. It's not that bad. Like, it's terrible. It's a bad movie, but it's not like, it's not unwatchable.
Yeah.
It'd be a good drinking game movie, or like a good, you'd have to be off your head to watch it and enjoy it.
I will say one thing about the book. I haven't read it, but I saw that in the book, Gabby, the main character, she's a redhead, but in the movie she's blonde. So that Nicholas Sparks said he was surprised when he saw that they casted a blonde girl, but then once he got to see her working, that it was fine because in the movie she's a redhead. But
In the book.
In the book, sorry, yeah. But it doesn't really matter.
As long as it's not like plot point specific, I don't think it matters. Like, they change, I saw they changed Travis's name, the lead from Travis Parker to Travis Shaw for no reason.
Yeah. But there's not really any excuses with this because, like, I know most of the time...
What do you mean?
Well, I'll explain. Most of the time, movies that have been adapted from a book are not, like, there's a lot of things that are different. But with this, Nicholas Sparks was on set like every day of filming. So you
Which
think,
you just made me realise that could be the problem.
yeah.
I
You
mean,
think if
yeah.
if he had a problem with how they were making the movie, and if it was different to how it was in the book, that he could say something.
Yeah, and especially because he produced it, which means he has a hand in it. Because he has the Nicholas Sparks.
Nicholas Sparks Productions.
Hang on. ASMR. Sorry. The Nicholas Sparks Productions. What a weird name. The Nicholas Sparks Productions. He is so far up in his own own ass.
Yeah.
And the Safran Company and distributed by Lionsgate. Yeah, I didn't have too much to talk about production wise. I had so much hate for this movie until well, I still do, but like more cynical and more just pure like fuck this movie. I'm going to say it now just in case somebody didn't fully understand before. There is going to be swearing this episode. It's going to be explicit. We'll make sure we mark it as such so you're prepared going in, but yeah, normally we try not to swear because it's pretty easy not to, but far out. This movie is just like it's just bringing things out of me.
Yeah. You can't talk about this movie without swearing.
Oh, yeah, just but next week back to good calm.
Yeah.
But people come here for the spice, I think. You know, that's usually what gets people in. So there's not that's what I was going to say. I used to have a lot more hate for this movie. Just like, this is crap. There's nothing good to it other than stuff we'll get to in spoilers. We will stay true to that. And, you know, we won't spoil anything big until we get to it. So, yeah, the hatred I had for this was so all-consuming until we watched those behind-the-scenes things this morning.
Yeah.
And I had read a little bit of it, but you don't get that sense until you really see people, you know, actually talking about it. And everyone just had so much fun making this movie. You know, Benjamin Walker, who plays Travis, he said it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work on a set like this. And I was like, oh, that's one of the handful of upsides to this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
It did look like they really enjoyed being involved in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just a shame they were let down by the actual movie.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that they knew. Like, they knew that this was... And we'll talk about the career paths of... Or I might as well get into it now. The career paths of the
actors.
The actors.
The actors
Just
and
just
actresses.
combining the words. Saving time.
Actors.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had the page up. More clickety-clacking, sorry. Also, if you can hear this noise at any time in the podcast, I'm just going to get out it and get ahead of it, because I'm sure if people have been listening up until now, they will have heard it. That is my chair. So that's not my bones. You might hear Demi's, but mine is much worse. So
Gotta get some different chairs.
yes, we just like to be honest about all this sorts of thing. But if you want to help us get new chairs, go to patreon.com/cash versus trash. I think that's it. I mean, just search us up if you go and find it.
Yeah, please support us. We need better chairs.
Please. So,
Give me your fucking money.
I wanted to make that one of the tiers, but it's too hard to fit. Anyway, Benjamin Walker as Travis. So, the cast of The Choice, I'll just go through the 6 main characters. There's Benjamin Walker as Travis, Teresa Palmer, Australia's own, as Gabby, Alexandra Daddario as Monica, Maggie Grace as Steph, Tom Wilkinson as Shep, and Tom Welling as Ryan. And I'll just go through where you've probably seen these people before, because Benjamin Walker, what I mostly wanted to talk about here was how everyone else in this movie is only in it for like 5 minutes, but it's those main six that, they're the core of the movie.
Yeah.
And every single one of those six has done something absolutely phenomenally better. Like, been a real main part of something so much better.
Than this.
Than this. Before and after. So, Benjamin Walker, who plays Travis, as I said, was in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter as Abraham Lincoln. And I will fight anybody who doesn't like that movie to the death. I think it comes from a comic book. I mean, it has to. Where else would an idea like that come from? But that movie is perfection. It is just so true to concept. And I don't know where it comes from. So not like as an adaptation, as just... I really like movies that are just upfront like that. It's Abraham Lincoln and he fights vampires. And that's all you need to know. And In the Heart of the Sea, he was George Pollard. I haven't seen that movie for a while. That's the one where Chris Hemsworth, it's like the true story of Moby Dick. I think he plays the captain. And since then, he was in like Jessica Jones, which I think he was in season 3, which I haven't seen. He was in Shimmer Lake. And he's going to be in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So he did great things before this, good to great things after, and is going to do good, hopefully good things.
Yeah.
So that's one right there. Why did he do this movie? It must have been paycheck related or exposure related, even though he'd been a lead in a movie before and co-lead, or I don't think he was a supporting, he might have been supporting, but from what I remember, he was in most of the movie, so like pretty much lead in 2 good movies before this. So why?
This was maybe just an easy movie.
Yeah.
To do.
Yeah.
Easy paycheck. Fun.
Anyway, Teresa Palmer, who plays Gabby, they're the 2 leads. She's Australia's own. Just thought I'd mention that just because, Australia's a good place. We're not from there. She was in Warm Bodies, which I have a soft spot for, even though I know it's not very good.
No, it's not.
I shouldn't say that I don't like romance movies, because that's a Romeo and Juliet retelling.
Yeah.
But I just don't like...
just strictly romance drama.
Yeah, where it's just copy-pasted characters, and there's nothing else going on. That's what I don't like. And she was in I Am Number 4 as number 6. And, a bunch of other stuff. And I'm not going to go through everyone's freaking IMDb every time. Got too hung up on Benjamin Walker's. But, she was in, she had a bad year. She was in 999, which was, what did I say? This was 199. 999 was 197. Made $100,000 more than this. So bad year for Teresa Palmer, but she's great. She plays Gabby, like I said, the other lead, an absolute muppet of a person. I'm not going to worry about the other people's because I want to know what I'm going to say about them. But Alexandra Daddario plays Monica, who was I can't remember the name of the character. She was in the Percy Jackson movies. Yeah. And Baywatch and True Detective Season 1. Yeah. Yeah. And so if you've seen any of those, you'll know who I'm talking about. She has the crazy, cool-looking eyes. And then Monica is Travis's
on and off girlfriend.
Yeah, they nickname her Boomerang.
Yeah.
Yeah, which she doesn't do anything bad, but one of those people.
Yeah.
Maggie Grace, who has been in a billion things. She's mostly a TV actress. She was in Lost, and more recently she was in Fear the Walking Dead as, I haven't seen it. Oh, I've seen the first couple of episodes, but I haven't seen her stuff as Althea. I don't know how to say the name. She plays Steph, Travis's sister.
She was in Taken. All the
Oh
Taken
yeah,
movies.
she's the Taken. She was the
yeah.
girl who got taken,
Yeah.
and then the girl who got kidnapped, or not kidnapped, held hostage and taken too, and then she was just there. I don't know if she does much. I can't remember in Take 3 and
Take 3 in, yeah.
The threes, yeah.
I've only seen the first one, so...
Well, don't waste your time with the second two.
No.
The second one's not terrible. It's a pretty, like, standard, boring action movie. The third one is just crap. Tom Wilkinson, he's been in a billion things. Again, he's quite old, but the thing I most remember him from is Rock and Roller. He plays the mob boss in that. And there was something else, but I can't remember it now, and I'm not wasting time with more IMDb stuff. And Tom Welling as Ryan, who was in Smallville.
Well, I recognise him from Cheaper by the Dozen.
And that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Smallville as Clark Kent, and Cheaper by the Dozen as the first or second.
He was
the second eldest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the eldest was dating Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, is that Ashton Kutcher? Nope, it's Kevin.
Do you have any more production stuff?
No, I mostly just wanted to talk about how those 6 people were robbed, because this movie is crap, and the 2 people that I understand, I don't know why Maggie Grace did this, because she was very successful before this. You know, she's on TV, which I've always heard is meant to be like lesser, even though that doesn't make any sense. It's more, you work more, and if you're an actor, that's what you want.
Yeah.
And Tom Wilkinson, it must have been a paycheck, because his character in this is woefully dumb. Oh, no, I'm going to take that back. There's one scene I want to talk about that's woefully dumb, but he's a good guy. He's pretty good. Yeah. I'll take that back. I will rescind my mean comment about Shep. Yeah, and everyone had a good time, they said.
Yeah. Looked like they had fun filming.
Yeah, we couldn't find much behind the scenes stuff. What we did find was either like 1-minute videos, and it was just everyone going, "Wow, this is fun," and Nicholas Sparks going, "You better come watch this movie, or I'll find you and I'll kill you." This is the Nicholas Sparks. This is Nicholas Sparks, the movie. Yeah. He was the only one who was like, "Yeah, this is going to be good," and everyone just talked about how much fun it was to make, which should tell you something. I know that they did the bulk of their filming at the house, the 2 houses, which makes sense, because most of the scenes go there, but like they chopped it up. The boat stuff was all second unit. And for anyone who doesn't know what that means, basically they have a second director who gets all like the establishing shots and wide shots and anything where the characters aren't really doing anything important, the second unit director will get. So in this, whenever Travis is on his boat, you know, and it's not really like character stuff, if it's just him cruising along, that'll be second unit. And any shots that are just like, I don't know if there's any in this, but just of like the area, that'll be second unit. And it's just a way to have somebody just taking up like the shit that the director, who needs to focus on the creative stuff, doesn't get weighed down by that. Anytime you watch a movie where they're like, "Oh, we're going to go from A to B," and then it's like them driving onto a bridge and it comes back up and then a song plays and you can't see the characters but you can hear them talking, that's all second unit, because it's not really part of the script. It's just they went from here to here. Hey, you go take care of that.
Just to filler in stuff. Yeah.
Just for anyone who wasn't aware.
Yeah. I think the best thing about this movie is the location and the scenery. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it definitely stands out because of that.
Yeah.
And they do build that into parts of the movie, and like that's one benefit or one good thing, that they do use that, and they don't just avoid that. You know, yeah.
The scenery is a big part of this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They really use it to their advantage.
Yeah. You didn't have anything else to say about production?
Not really.
As most movies, they don't film them beginning to end. They just pick what is easiest to do or whatever, or, you know, their schedule, certain locations, it's all out of order. So they filmed all like the restaurant scenes and all that and other places up front.
Yeah.
And then they did all the stuff at the house
Yeah.
after.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what I was trying to say before. That's really all I have to say about it. I mean, the only other couple of things are spoilers. So, do you want to tell everyone about the non-spoiler stuff?
Yep. So the basic outline of this movie is, well, it's a romance, obviously. It's called The Choice because it's about a girl, well, a woman, and a man and their neighbours.
Woman is, we'll get to it.
Their neighbours, and she has a boyfriend already, and he has his on and off girlfriend, but they fall for each other. And she has to make the choice whether she goes with Travis or she stays with Ben. Is it Ben?
Yeah, no, Ben is his friend Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah.
Ryan!
So that's the choice.
Well, and this is in the blurb on IMDb. We forgot to watch the trailer, but that's... Not only is it choosing between the two of them, Ryan goes away for a few weeks. That's when the stuff starts to happen, and when he comes back, he proposes.
Yeah, so she has to choose. Yeah.
That's in the description of the movie, so don't harp on about spoilers, but...
Yeah, so basically when Ryan's away on a business trip, she falls for Travis, the neighbour. The country boy neighbour.
Yeah. Harping on wasn't directed at you. That was directed at the audience, just to clear that up. I don't want you to be like, wow, Rob's being a real dick today.
I don't think that, don't worry.
Okay.
So that's The Choice that Gabby Holland has to make.
Gabby Holland.
That's
Is
her
that her
last
last name? Oh, okay, sorry.
Gabriella Holland.
Oh, sorry. I only remember hearing them say Travis's surname because they call him Dr. Shaw or Dr. Shah. Dr. Shah.
The only time in the movie where they say her last name is when he's talking to her parents.
Oh, yep, that's right. Yeah.
All right. So that's non-spoilers.
Yeah, there's not much to it.
No, it's just a romantic drama.
So yeah, that's The Choice.
So now we'll get into spoiler talk.
As per usual, we'll give everyone a chance to switch off, watch the movie, and come back. Because at first I said, don't waste your time, and the spoilers aren't the big thing, but I think you should always experience the movie as the movie was presented, without spoilers.
Without any outside opinions.
Yeah, and you might be thinking, you already said that she has a boyfriend, she falls in love with another guy, then he comes back and proposes, and that's the choice. That's everything, right?
Yeah, no.
No, there is more, and this movie should have been a lot shorter. But anyway, go see it if you want. If you don't like romance, don't waste your time. Just listen to us yammer on. And yeah, so 3, 2, 1. We're in spoiler time now.
This movie sucks.
This movie fucking sucks. It's just so bad. It's so bad. It's just a bad movie.
It went for way too long. It goes for 2 hours and 51 minutes.
Holy... what?
No, sorry. 1 hour and 51 minutes. It feels like nearly 3 hours when you're watching it.
Oh, it drags on. So, if you're here and you haven't seen the movie, and as we normally do, we start at the end. Just because those people who are like, oh, I'm sure they won't get too much into it. It skips forward 7 years, which is set up at the start, but it skips forward 7 years, shows you their entire relationship up until that point, and they're completely different people pretty much. And then she has a car crash, goes into a coma, and magically survives.
Yeah. Well, so the choice is Travis has to decide whether he takes her off life support or not, because she's been in a coma for nearly 90 days. And after 90 days, the chance of coming back are less than 1%,
Yeah, I
apparently.
think it goes over 90 days because he says, the doctor, who played by Ryan, says, sorry, not played by Ryan, played by Tom Welling, is the doctor, Ryan. He says, after 90 days,
Yeah.
she had filled out a do not resuscitate thing, which is what a lot of people do because in a lot of people's minds, they're going to live till, potentially 80 or so, or longer, preferably. But, when they've done everything that they see as meaningful, he talks about it in the movie, like,
Yeah.
that's what you do for the end of your life,
Yeah.
not when you're 35.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. At that point, I think she's probably about that old.
So that's the choice.
Which, both the choices happen off screen. Tell, don't show. The first one, her having to choose between Travis Shaw and Dr. Ryan, happens off screen, and
Yeah.
we find out about it in a letter that Ryan, or I suppose his choice and then her choice, both happen off screen. Ryan makes the choice to forgive her and come back and propose anyway, and she breaks it off after agreeing to it, or sometime after, and then leaves, all off screen. And I don't mind that her breaking it off happens off screen. That I'm like, cool, we're seeing it from his perspective. But the choice of telling Ryan what happened and what she did happening off screen
Yeah.
is crap.
Yeah.
And then the decision to have his choice of taking her off life support or keeping her on when he keeps her on happens off screen. And the movie tries to trick you by having him talk to his mother's gravestone. Even though, like, this isn't that kind of movie. You know what I mean? If it had him, like, standing in front of her and then it cut to him at the gravestone, I would have been like, oh,
Yeah.
shit, he did
Yeah.
it. But no, I don't even know what he was doing before that.
I have no idea. I think it was after the talk about do not resuscitate.
Yeah, that's right. There's a little montage where his dad says, it's going to hurt like nothing you've ever felt before. I will say, this movie from... the opening scene isn't too bad because we haven't met the characters yet properly. The introduction to the characters is weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. The introduction to pretty much every character kind of just feels false. But, and then everything leading up until the flash forward, where it gives you the montage and then it's 7 years later. That stuff is great. Genuinely, them having troubles, her being in a car crash and all
Yeah.
that. All that stuff, I was like, wow, this is really real emotional stuff. And you don't have to, like, I've never been in that position before, not even close. But the actors are so good.
They did amazing.
Yeah.
That kicks off at about 1 hour 20, where she like has the car accident and she's in hospital and all that, and from then it's just like it's a different movie.
Yeah.
The actors suddenly became amazing at acting.
Oh,
And
I think that they were good before that, but
they
the
just
direction
didn't
was
show
just
a
act
lot
like
of-
a huge dickhead all the time.
yeah, they didn't show a lot of emotional growth or anything until after the car accident and she's in the coma.
Yeah.
And then I was surprised because I was actually getting sad. He's such a what's his name?
Who? What's the character's name?
Travis.
Benjamin Walker.
Yeah, Benjamin Walker is a really good on-screen crier. Yeah. I was getting a little bit teary-eyed.
Yeah, he did such a great job of going from cool and chill and whatever to, and like when nobody's looking, to just depressed.
Yeah.
But only in the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, just... I just chalk it up to Ross Katz being a crap director. I should have talked about this before, but it doesn't really matter. But he is mostly a producer, but he's directed Taking Chance, which is a TV movie, Adult Beginners, which I had never heard of, from 2014, and this. And then he's just been a producer and a writer, which sort of tells me that this was like like one of those producers who's like, yeah, I really care about this, so I'm going to make it happen and I'm going to be the director, and doesn't know diddly squat about what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it was written, like obviously it was adapted for the screen from Nicholas Sparks' novel, but Brian Sipe, I think Sipe is his surname, or it's Sipe. So, and he wrote A Million Miles, never heard of it. Alpha Male, never heard of it. Man and Woman, never heard of it. Demolition with Jake Gyllenhaal, never heard of it. And The Choice, and that's it. He's got one upcoming project. So, what the fuck?
Yeah, what was going on with this movie?
Yeah, it's so all over the place. And again, if anyone is like, oh, well, you know, if you read the book, the book and the movie are not the same. You shouldn't have to go back to the book and read something to have the movie make sense.
Yeah.
Because these are technically the same characters, but they're not. It's the same story, I think, but that's Travis Parker, this is Travis Shaw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's, you can't go, you know, oh, if this scene from the book had been in the movie, it would have made sense, but it wasn't. The same as when deleted scenes that explain stuff are taken out, doesn't matter. It was deleted from the movie, so unless it was directly referenced as to happening, it doesn't count because it technically didn't happen because we didn't see it. And obviously, a lot of people say, oh, the book's always better.
And it usually is.
Yeah,
but,
I can't think of anything that's... Yeah, sorry.
But you should be able to watch a movie and just base your opinions off that. It shouldn't be a requirement to read a book to watch the movie that was made from the book. Because a lot of the time, movies are made so that you don't have to read the book, or if you don't want to read the book.
Yeah,
not everybody likes watch the movie.
Yeah, not everybody likes to read books, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I was trying to say before I just got angry, was the main cast are all great, and the other people who are in it for like 5 minutes, they're good. You know, they don't do anything bad, but there's a lot of very weird decisions in this. Like fucking Gabby, is introduced as some sort of weird psychopath who just hates barbecues in the middle of the day.
Well, first we get introduced to Travis.
Oh, we're going back to the start?
Yeah. First we get introduced to Travis, and the movie tried to portray him as like this, oh, I don't care, bad boy, I get whatever I want, you know, chicks just want me. But we don't see that. We see him in the beginning being a creep to like two women.
Well, I mean, I didn't think it was creepy, but I'm not a woman, so if you think the way he's talking was creepy, then I trust your judgment.
One of the women said something, and he was like, "Do you kiss your mom with that potty mouth?"
Spot on, Travis Shaw.
Like, that's just such a weird thing to say. I don't get this vibe that he's this cool guy and chicks can't say no to him. He just seems like a weird creep.
Well, to me, that comes from when somebody writes a character that they don't... I'm not a writer, you know. I've written, like, stuff just for myself and did stuff in school, but if you're writing a character that you can't get into the head of and make realistic, then it's never going to work. Because, like, I don't know much about Nicholas Sparks, but watching those few clips of him talking, he doesn't come across as, like, a cool ladies man. No. So when he tries to make a cool ladies man, and this could just be translation from book to screen, and that other guy could be a big part of it, but you read The Notebook, yeah?
Yeah.
And you've seen the movie. Mm-hmm. Are they pretty similar?
I can't remember too much, but I remember liking the movie more than the book because the book is not very long.
I think that they adapted both books because there's a book called The Wedding
Oh, okay.
that I think is part of the Notebook as well. So that's a bad example. But I know that, like, what's a oh, I watched that Australian movie The Dry, and I read the book before I did it, before I even knew that there was a movie coming out. The book's great. The movie is quite good. Obviously, they have to leave a lot of stuff out, otherwise the movie would go for like 3.5 hours. But it translated the characters well, and even though the author of the book is a woman, she got into the head of the main character, who's a man, and he never felt unreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just that's just the most recent thing I can think of. But I think it's not like he didn't have to be some cool ladies man.
No, and I just didn't get that vibe at all because other than the beginning scene when he's being a little bit of a weirdo, we don't see any interaction that he has with women where they just say yes to. Because a big part of it is that Gabby's the first person to ever say no to him, but we don't have any reference.
That's so creepy.
I know. We don't have any reference of him, having girls just
Yeah.
do whatever he wants, other than his on and off girlfriend. But even then, that doesn't.
Yeah.
She's pretty happy to be on and off with him. It's not like she's drooling over him and can't leave his side.
Oh, not in so many ways.
We only see her like twice.
Well, she seems a bit clingy when she's around.
Yeah.
But their whole thing, like his mates sort of make jokes. And I think their whole thing is when she's not there, she doesn't give a shit. And when she's there, it's like full on.
You're with me.
Yeah, Monica
Yeah.
we're talking about, played by Alexandra Daddario. I mostly think like poor Monica. I feel bad for her.
Yeah, me too.
She's introduced as kind of a bitch. She's just standing there and the two guys don't notice her. And she's like, is one of you going to help me down? And I was a bit like, that's weird because the rest of the movie, she's sweet and kind. And like at the end, she gives or not at the end, at what should have been the fucking end, she gives Travis that
Really good advice.
yeah, that speech that
Yeah.
every sort of movie has a scene like that, or not every movie, but every movie where there's like a main character who is going through a bit of a time where they want to make a choice. Fuck this fucking movie. Or they want to make a choice, but aren't too sure, and then they're going one way, but they should be going the other way, and somebody just drops a piece of wisdom on them. In this case, it's his girlfriend who says, like, you clearly love her. You don't look at me like that. I'm not going to hold it against her because she says I'm not one of those women. What she means is she's not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because he commits to her. There's no evidence that he cheats on her. They're not in a committed relationship when he and Gabby start hanging out, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, when him and Gabby are fooling around, she's not in the picture, and it's not like she comes over and it's like, what are you doing with this bitch?
Yeah.
I'm your girlfriend.
Yeah, she tries to ring him and he just ignores it, and then they have dinner and fuck. and then it's all about like she's hopelessly in love with him, but Ryan keeps ringing her because he's away, and she just doesn't care. She wakes up and she's like, oh, got some of that good D last night, and then has a missed call from her boyfriend. She's like, oh shit,
That's right, I have a boyfriend.
yeah, how did I forget that? How did I forget that when he was gone for like 2 days, maybe a week? Because it's, again, if you haven't watched the movie, here's the basic rundown of the movie. They're neighbors, they meet, and this is like spoilers and everything, I mean.
Yeah.
They're neighbors, they live, what do they say, 100 feet? Or 100, it's not 100 yards. 100 yards is nearly 100 meters.
They live like really close.
100 feet, which I think is like 30 meters, which it looks it, very close together.
Yeah.
She lives in a small in air quotes, 3-bedroom house / cottage, and he lives in a fucking mansion. but he's the poor boy.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
He's the poor country boy.
And they live on an island.
Yeah. He has a boat, he has a motorbike, he has a car, a big house.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
I think that stuff was about, like, her upbringing versus his upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was weird and just out of nowhere. You know, there's like 2 scenes where he sort of views it in a bad way, and then after that it's just not addressed.
Yeah.
Other than when he goes to propose. Anyway, she hates his barbecue, then has a go at him that night. Then he tricks her into going to the vet well, not tricks her, but is like, oh, you know, the vet in town is really good, don't go.
Because she thinks his dog got her dog pregnant.
He did.
No, he had his balls cut off.
Oh, honestly, there must just be parts of this movie that I was just numb from the pain.
I only picked up on that the second time we watched it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm pretty sure he says, I thought you'd be smarter because you're a doctor, but my dog has no balls, so couldn't have got your dog pregnant.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well,
But
some dog got her dog pregnant.
the
She thinks it
dogs
was his.
seemed so close and cuddly. They're always, like, the dogs are always, like, laying with their paws over each other.
Yeah.
So I always was just like, oh, yeah, you know. And then at the end, he says, do you think, what's his dog's name, Moby?
Moby, yeah.
Yeah, got, like, planned this all from the beginning. And they have a little bit, and I was like,
So, mate?
when you just said that, I was like, how, but if that, just another thing that doesn't make any goddamn sense about this movie.
Maybe his dog did get her dog pregnant. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't think it matters.
No.
Anyway, you know, then she's shown to have a boyfriend. She's a med student. He's a vet. You know, she takes her dog to the vet where him and his dad work. His dad is Shep. We're introduced to Steph, his sister, and it's kind of weird that, like, we see him, his on and off girlfriend, his sister, and his dad, and it's like all about him, even though they equally in the movie, and it seems like to focus on both of them, but we only see her stuff for like 2 seconds.
The sister.
No.
Oh, Gabby. Yeah.
Other than Ryan, who Travis should have already known because it's not a very big town, I thought. And he's like...
They do know each other.
But she introduces them. I took a note when that was happening, so maybe I missed something there, but I thought that they hadn't met.
I have no idea.
No, he knows Ryan's dad,
Yeah.
but he didn't really know Ryan, which makes sense. He's a vet, so he works a fair bit. Ryan's a doctor, so he works a fair bit. It makes sense that they wouldn't really cross over. Ryan goes away because he is I think he's like the head doctor at the hospital, which, good on you, Ryan.
Yeah, he goes away for a few weeks.
I think they say 1 month.
Yeah.
So let's say, like, this is what I sort of want to do. Let's say 4 weeks. They fall in love in 4 weeks. And I'm not saying that that's impossible. Demi and I fell in love quite quickly. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But how it is presented in this movie is not love.
No.
Because acting like assholes to each other is not love.
No.
And I don't mean like you've been together for a few years and maybe you have some problems. I mean, from the get-go, just being dickheads is not love.
The first time that they interact is so strange. She is weirdly extremely angry at him because he was playing music while she was studying, because she's just a nerdy girl, apparently.
She's a med student.
Yeah, but they make her look like... they put her in, like, daggy clothes and she's studying.
And then never again.
No.
So stupid.
The worst thing about this movie is the wind chimes. There's no significance to it. She's in the middle of studying while they're having their loud barbecue that she hates so much. And then it just randomly cuts to her hanging up her wind chimes outside. And that's when she looks and they're all like being loud and she's cranky about that for some reason. And then she goes back inside. But the wind chime plays a big role in this movie.
Yeah.
But we have no idea where it came from. It didn't show that she made it. It didn't show that it was like a childhood, thing. She just randomly walked outside and hung it up. And then it is so important in the rest of the movie. It's very confusing.
Maybe because she hung it up on the day that they met.
But she's literally sitting down studying.
Yeah.
And then the next cut, she's just outside hanging it up.
Yeah.
As if she like just moved in or something, but I don't think she did because her whole house is set up and it's not like she was unpacking. She was studying and talking to her dog, and then she's hanging up the wind chime.
I bet if we had read the book, we'd know.
Yeah, I feel like the wind chime does have a significance to it. And maybe it was like the last thing that was left after the hurricane at her property when she was a child. But in this movie, it has no significance.
I just wrote down, I just remembered I wrote down the ending of the movie would have been saved. No, not like that this happened at the end, but if in the scene where she's talking about the little gazebo that she danced around that got taken away by the hurricane, the entire ending, I would have just gone, yeah, okay. And again, for people who don't know, the ending is he sets up another gazebo while she's after another hurricane, while she is in a coma from the car crash, and because he's really guilt ridden because he didn't make it to dinner in time, so she left early because it's not the first time it happened, and then she got T-boned.
Yeah.
So he sets up a gazebo on their spot, and then he hangs the wind chime up there, which his dog found. They do set up that the dog can't swim and then somehow got out to that pontoon thing.
Yeah, and found her wind chime.
You know,
yeah,
that was set
sweet.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he hangs it up and then he hears it and he's heard it in the back of his head whenever he looks at photos and stuff of her.
Yeah.
And then he hears it chiming and he just goes and gets on his boat, goes over there,
and
jumps
she's
in
out
his
of her
truck.
coma.
Yep, and she's out of her coma. And that I would have gone, okay, if in that scene when she's talking about the gazebo, she would have said, the hurricane took it all away. The only thing that was left was this chime.
Yeah.
That is all that she needed to say. And I would have just forgiven all of that.
Yeah, I think that should have been said. I don't know if they just left that out or something, but it seems like that should have been it. But we had absolutely no backstory to the wind chimes.
Yeah, I was going to go back and double check, but I was 99% confident that line isn't in there, because otherwise I wouldn't have written it down.
They didn't talk about it at all. Even when she's showing him the photo of her in front of the gazebo, I was like looking to see if the wind chimes are in the photo, but they're not. It just, I don't get it.
And
it's
not
frustrating.
Even, she wasn't even like, when they're having their talk about whether or not they believe in God, and he is very cynical because his mum died when he was 14. So he just believes in like love and loyalty and friendship, and that's fine. And she is religious, but just because she hasn't had anything to sway her like he has. And if there was a line like, oh, something, whenever I hear that wind chime, I'm reminded of this, and that's why I believe. Anything like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whenever the chime blows, even if you make it up, it doesn't have to be real. You can just make it up and say, oh, whenever the wind chime blows, it means something good is happening. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we just had nothing.
Yeah.
Other than her hanging it up, in the rest of the movie, there's nothing to do with the wind chimes until after the hurricane at the end when she's already in the coma and he's trying to search for it. But it's like, why is he trying to search for it? Because we have no idea why these wind chimes are so important to her.
Just crap.
Just so bad.
Yeah. Again, this movie's crap. I think, at first I was like, yeah, I've got a lot to talk about. And then I'm like, fuck. This movie's just bad.
This movie could have been a horror movie.
Yes. First time we watched it, because we watch every movie at least twice.
Yeah.
And we watched this one twice because we could not bear to watch it a third time. But when he gets her puppies and takes them to the vet, I was looking at him and I was like, is he supposed to look like a... And this was before the truth came out, or the allegations. I haven't followed the case or whatever, but about Kevin Spacey, I was like, is he supposed to be like a hunky Kevin Spacey? Because it's really creepy. Even, like, if you take out what we know now about Kevin Spacey, looking at him and being reminded of him, I was like, it's weird.
Yeah. Some of his facial expressions did come across as very creepy and kind of like a psycho.
Yeah. Another thing, she's a med student, right? And she works at the hospital, which means she's seen some shit. Now, I have worked jobs that I won't get into, sort of like that, much lower down the scale of the ladder of importance, but I've seen bodies, not bodies, like I've seen people nude for work and stuff. You get over it pretty quickly, and just after a while you're just like, whatever, and nudity doesn't faze you at all. You know, it still doesn't for me. When he comes downstairs, when she's banging on the door and he's shirtless, she's like, oh, you're half naked. And I'm like, nah. I don't care if she's in love with him. She would have just been like, yeah, okay, whatever.
It's not... but he wasn't naked, because she doesn't say you're half naked, she says you're naked, because the subtitles were on. But he has pants on, and he's putting his shirt on, and the day before, she was staring at him on the boat while he was shirtless. But she's
Maybe
like,
he had his dick out.
She's like, oh my God, you got your shirt off.
Maybe it's like, you know, those pajama pants you can get where it's like, it'd be different for women, but on men's ones they have like a little thing with a button and you can pop it open and whip it out and pee. Maybe he came down the stairs and that was just... And if the button comes undone, yeah, your package just hangs out. Maybe he just came running down the stairs and it was just helicoptering around.
It looked like he was wearing like tracksuit pants.
It was in the dark, but I'm going to roll with that.
This is why we think Gabby is a child, because she just acts like a child.
Or a drunk person.
Yeah, and it's
or
weird.
A drunk child. Case in point, the church scene, the beach scene, the scene after the birthday party where she's like doing that weird little witchy look over her shoulder and then sits in his chair.
It's supposed to show that she's so madly in love and smitten and all this stuff, but the way she's acting, it seems very childish. Yeah. It's a little bit strange.
Yeah. And another thing that could have been fixed, other than everything, but could have been fixed with like 1-2 scenes, is to show that her relationship with Ryan wasn't that great. And I understand that you can be perfectly happy with someone and then meet someone else and be like, wow, I don't feel this with this other person. Maybe I should follow this, right? But it's never even shown that she wants to break up with Ryan. And it's never shown at first that she's like madly in love. She just seems like a whore.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound harsh, but her boyfriend, who's like making hints at proposing to her, and she did have a weird reaction to that, but it's a hell of a thing to say to someone. To just be like, oh, you know, maybe I'll come back down and turn you into my wife, or whatever he says. Doesn't matter what he says. You know, I think he was gone for like 2 days, and she's like, Travis, come here.
Dinner, my house.
Yeah, dinner, my
minutes.
house. She's just might as well have just been on the table with her legs open.
That when she invites him over for dinner was after they'd been out on the boat, and they have a very weird couple of scenes.
He does make the first move, but he doesn't have a girlfriend.
Yeah. He
has an on and off person who, it's not, they don't kiss, they're clearly just hanging out. And it's very nonchalant when his friends are like, oh, where's Monica? And he's like, oh, Monica's sitting this one out. They're not like, hey, Travis, you have a girlfriend. What the fuck are you doing? They're just like, whatever.
Yeah, because I think Monica is the same. She's like, I know that I'm just the on and off.
But it's not like she knows that she's just the on and off. That's her decision.
Yeah.
Like, they call her Boomerang because she goes and comes back.
Yeah.
And Steph says, we've got to get to Steph in a minute. Steph says to Travis, Monica bought a house and planted a garden and got cable installed in the house and stuff, like, you know, she's looking to put down roots. And Travis is like, yeah, I don't give a shit
Gabby,
about
Gabby.
Monica.
I do want to say that one of the scenes with the boat scene, they hop on a boat and go to a different island, I suppose, a bit more secluded and have a barbecue and whatever.
Yeah.
After she talks to his sister, she takes that weird walk into the water.
That's what I was talking about before.
Yeah, it looks like it's about to be a music video. She takes her clothes off and then steps into the water and splashes her face, and then that's it.
Yep.
It's like a minute or so. Looks like it's going to be the beginning of a music video. Yeah. Of her just splashing around, and not even splashing around, just walking in shallow water and looking happy. Frolicking, yeah.
Yeah. But to what end? And it's not even... There's so many weird half motions, I suppose you'd say, or half actions in this movie. Like, or just everything is halfway done.
Yeah.
Except for the end, like the last 30 minutes, which is why it's good. Or even that's not even... They don't even fully commit to it. But Travis is supposed to be a ladies' man and a playboy. We never see him with another woman other than Monica. We never see them getting frisky. The only person that we see him getting it on with is Gabby.
Yeah.
And they fuck. Like, he trashes her kitchen just to have sex with her.
That scene was the weirdest for me because if you changed the music in that scene, it could be a clip from a horror movie. They're standing like pretty far apart and he starts walking towards her slowly, and then it's just like cuts to her face, and she's walking back. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm walking towards you slowly." She's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because if I ran, I would scare you." And then they just start making out and having sex and completely trash all the stuff that was on the bench, all those plates, just throw them off, and then go to the dining room table and throw everything off the dining room table too. Like, have these people never heard of a bed?
Well, they end up in bed. It's not the same night, is it? No, it's later. It's just before Ryan comes back. When he's clearly just got done eating her out. Because she's like, like laying sort of with like her, and that, like, just like next to her. Yeah. And clearly looks like she's just
being pleasured.
Hit the big O. And he comes up from under the sheets and is like, I want to show you something.
And then takes her to
then they go on a fucking field trip.
Yeah.
Like,
boat ride to an island.
I just... so many weird things. Just... Was he like... you know what I'm thinking about? Salt. And seawater right now. Like,
I don't know.
We're getting a bit too filthy. I just think it was just such a weird edit. If he had... The usual thing is when you're cutting to a bedroom where two characters have just finished having sex, usually you either show a little bit of it, or if it's like this, which is PG-13, so M here, I think it was. Or it might have been PG, because there's no swearing or anything. So it's probably PG or PG here, which would be PG in the States.
Yep.
Yeah. You either show a little bit of it, or you have like the guy be on top and have him just roll over. Yeah. And have the girl have like a bra on or something like that, so you don't show boobs. And that's fine, showing, they're passionate and whatever. Or you just have him in bed, or they're kissing or something like that. And then he's like, oh, I want to show you something. But the way it is where he comes out from under the blanket and is like, I want to show you something. What I was like, is this turning into like a weird porno? Is he going to be like, this is what I want to show you, and it's just his penis? Because It's so weird to be like, I've just done this thing to this person. To not get too graphic. I've just done this thing to this person. The first thing I want to do after that isn't just be in the moment. It's get in
Get
my boat.
row to a private island.
Yeah. And look at the stars.
Another weird thing about this movie.
Throw it on the pile.
Yeah. Nicholas Sparks must have some twisted idea of romance, but his books, well, I don't know about the book, but this movie tries to romanticize cheating. Like, she's cheating on her boyfriend, but you're supposed to go, oh, but they're so in love.
I don't think it's meant to romanticize cheating. I think it's supposed to condone it because true love conquers all.
Oh, it's okay because they're in love. But if you were so in love, then you would break up with your boyfriend.
Yep.
But you just get these big happy moments with Travis and Gabby. They're so in love and all this. Oh, actually, did you forget she's cheating on her boyfriend?
Yeah.
Like,
she
come
forgets.
on. Yeah. Yep. After the sex scene, then the next day, that's when she gets the voicemail, and she's like, "Oh shit, I got a boyfriend."
She's so happy with herself. She's like, oh, like, I fully expected her to wake up and be like, shit, fuck, what did I do? Oh no, I've ruined my life. I have ruined my relationship. I've made things weird. Relationships that start with one person cheating on another person. And I'm no statistician. I can't imagine that they end well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But in this movie, it's fine because they're in love.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know about Nicholas Sparks' life and why he thinks these kind of things are okay. Did his wife cheat on somebody else with him?
But not only that, like, love... See, in his movies, love is like a force that drives people and they can't escape it, even if they try to get away from it.
Yeah.
Which, if you're in love with someone, you don't move town and go, I need to get away from this person because I've like ruined my life. She was a med student working at that hospital. She was in a relationship. She threw all of that away. And I understand that she's rich, so she can. But she just threw her life away just because of what happened between her and Travis. And he kicks her door in and is like, marry me, bitch. And she says no. If you get down on your knee and she says no, you don't demand a yes. And if you do, she has every right to bust you up, just wreck your shit.
That's the other thing is, I don't know what Nicholas Sparks thinks, but if he must think it's okay for men to be forceful like that. When he goes to her family home and pretty much just says to her parents, I'm going to marry this girl. And she's in the background like, no, what are you doing? No, you're just danger. And her parents and him are just ignoring her.
It's like you're describing a horror movie.
Exactly. And then he gets on his knee and says, will you marry me? And she's like, no. And he's like, yes, damn it. Well, yes, you will marry me. Yes. And she's like, no. And he's like, yes.
I might
she's
put
like,
in
yeah, all right.
That little interaction of her saying no and him saying yes.
Gabby.
No.
Gabby.
No.
You should probably take a knee, son.
Dad!
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Gabby. I think I pretty much said all the words. So all I need is a lifetime to prove it to you. Will you marry me?
No.
Well, yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Come bother me, baby. Bother me for the rest of my life.
That doesn't give a good message. It's not like, oh, he's just so in love with her, he can't help but not be with her. It's, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
You're being a little bit weird right now. You can't just scream yes at somebody who's saying no.
It's really weird.
It's very bad. It was not a good scene. And her parents just ignore it.
Her parents are all for it.
They just ignore her, saying no, I don't want to do this. And
They're like, oh, we can tell that you love him because you bit your lip
Yeah.
that way you do. What a pair of psycho parents.
And then the mum just hands the ring
She
over.
takes her necklace off because she's a chef, so obviously she's not going to be wearing her ring. But she takes her engagement ring off of her necklace and gives it to him.
To
What
propose.
the fuck?
While she's saying, no, I don't
Yeah.
want to. Even though she does. And, like, they try to make it okay because you know that she does love him. But still, just that alone, her saying no and him saying, yes, you will
Yeah.
marry me, does not give a good message.
How they could have done that differently, I feel. Or if this was a normal movie, or if this was even real life. You can still have him kick down the door. Well, he doesn't kick it down, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Barge in and whatever. And just have him say to her, why don't we just try and see what happens?
Yeah.
But I don't know what, like...
Bother me for the rest of my life, baby.
You're older now, and obviously with I could talk all day about how Travis is not a real human being. He is a cartoon character. But I can't talk about the female perspective. Before we met, did you think it was romantic for men to do things like that?
No.
Okay.
I've seen The
It's good.
Notebook.
We're not going to get divorced.
I've seen The Notebook, and it is my favourite movie. I know that is also a little bit weird because he's hanging off the Ferris wheel saying, if you don't go out with me, I'll
Don't
kill
get
myself.
me started.
But in that movie, I didn't feel like it was as forceful. This movie just wants to be The Notebook. They just outright, when he's saying, like, yeah, you will marry me. Whereas in The Notebook, it's played off a little bit more romantically.
I think in The Notebook, it is set in the 40s, and maybe that is why some things come across a little bit differently. But when he's hanging from the thing, even though I'm like, that's absolutely spastic, I'm not like, oh, he's actually going to kill himself.
Yeah.
I think it's just being dramatic.
And even then, like, because he says, say yes to go out with me or I'm going to drop. And she says, yes, fine. But then the next day he comes to see her to ask her out. And she was like, no, I only said that so you wouldn't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have actually done it. He would have just been embarrassed and sat back down.
Yeah.
And when they lay on the road and there's no cars coming, and when she's at the beach singing I'm a Bird and stuff like that, it's all weird, but I don't want to talk about The Notebook. but
It's
for
so
all its,
much better than
but
this.
for all its faults and all those weird things where you're like, that's not really how love works. At least the build up to their relationship is over years, and they have their ups and downs and problems, and she leaves her boyfriend and whatever, but it all feels like things that could potentially happen. Maybe not exactly that way, but it feels like that's how a relationship could bloom. Whereas this is, her boyfriend went away, she fucked her neighbor for a month, and then when he came back, she was like, oh, done. We're done here. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Fuck off. And then goes, oh, I love him so much.
Yeah. I just didn't get this vibe that they were so in love and they just were pulled together and they needed to be together and the world just went away. I didn't get that. They were trying really hard.
I don't
But
think
they
they were
didn't
trying
get it.
really hard. I think the actors were trying hard. I think that they all put in their all, but it was just pointless. There were no stakes, because I don't care about Gabby because she's a filthy cheater. I don't care about Travis because he's I don't know the word for it. Just so whatever. So it seems like he's so cool, but he's just he's three-dimensional, sure, but there's not enough of it. There's little hints of he cares about this and he cares about this, but it's all just whatever.
Yeah.
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 And everyone just in these sort of movies just act like Oh, it doesn't matter that they're cheating on their partner because they're in love.
I know. And they don't move towns or anything. They still live in the same place.
Yep.
She
It's
has
weird.
to see her ex-boyfriend. Like, he has to see him. I assume it's not a very big place. I assume everyone knows
Yep.
their story and they're just living their happy lives.
As two people who started their relationship in a small town, especially when, just like these people, I lived in a small town all my life and then you moved there. And I remember, this might be getting a bit personal, but I have so much history in that place. It was quite intimidating for you. And, it started to get under my skin a bit.
Yeah.
And that's why we moved away. But these people just stayed there. And we didn't even have a bad relationship.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a bad start to our relationship. We had a normal boy meets girl start to a relationship.
Yeah, and it's perfectly normal for a couple to leave the place that they either grew up or had been for a while, start fresh.
Yeah.
But these people are like, nah, we'll start a family in this town where everybody knows our bad start to our relationship. And I have to see the person that I cheated on. So
And it's
weird.
like, there's a lot of movies that are set in a small town and they have that kind of thing where there's like all the small town drama and gossip and whatever. But it's usually set like 20 years later. And it's like stuff from the past and people have moved on. 7 years is not enough time to get over your girlfriend, or probably to get over it, but it's not enough time to be like, yep, whatever, about your partner of presumably years cheating on you.
For a whole month.
For a whole month. The second you left, she just leapt on another man and then agreed to get married to you, then broke off the engagement. Like, some part of Ryan, although we only see him for 3 or 4 scenes, would probably just be a murderer, would just be a psycho.
Yeah. I think Ryan is way too easy on Travis and Gabby.
Well, they do say that.
Yeah.
But it's just, too much happens in the movie.
Way too much.
The first hour and 20, did you say?
Yep.
Is a typical romance, or especially like a Nicholas Sparks, from what I've seen, romance. Two people meet who absolutely despise each other with all their soul and being,
Apparently.
but flirt like there's no tomorrow. And then they have an intense romance, then some incredibly fake crap happens and they're driven apart, and then one of them, usually the guy, is like, no, I must have her, after some wise words from someone. And then they go and they get the girl, or the girl gets the guy, or whatever. The main character gets the romantic interest. Blah, 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 blah. This movie does all of that, then goes...
Have a very short montage of 7 years. 7 years going by, even though it seems like longer than that. Here's 2 kids, everything... Oh, car crash.
Yeah.
Now it's a different movie.
And then have 20 or so minutes of an awesome sequel that didn't need to be in this movie, but all the actors do way better. Everyone's way more emotionally powerful.
Yep.
Shep isn't in... Oh, no, he is.
And he does great in the...
Why did I
this...
think he wasn't there? Huh. Sorry.
Yeah. The last 20 minutes... or 20 to 30 minutes of this movie is the best parts.
Yeah. As we said before, we're just going around in circles
Yeah.
because this movie is so bad.
So bad.
We don't have too much more to talk about.
Other than the sister's
Oh,
wig.
yes. Steph. Her wig and her prosthetic...
Pregnant belly.
I was just going to say gut. Does not look like a pregnant belly.
Her wig is so bad. Oh my god.
I think it could have been because she had just finished up with Taken 3.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if she had short hair in that or not.
Either way, she's blonde in those movies, and in this movie she's got brown hair, but they could have just had her be blonde.
But, yeah, because we never see the mum. Travis has brown hair and the dad has, like,
grey hair.
greying dark hair. But you could just as easily say that the mum had heaps of blonde hair,
Yeah.
or make it look like she dyed her hair blonde. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just put in some effort.
That wig was so bad.
It's terrible. And her pregnancy thing was just garbage. It just looked like a balloon under a shirt.
Yeah.
Just,
Did not look real at all.
it just really sucks. And, like, we're not saying this as, like, an FU to whoever did the wig or an FU to whoever did the pregnancy belly. They don't look good probably because they weren't given enough time.
Yeah.
They probably didn't get enough time to try it out and make sure that it looked good. Because in almost every single movie anybody has ever seen, there are wigs and prosthetics in some form or capacity. They're just in every movie. Most people have wigs in movies.
Yeah.
At least one. And normally you can't tell. Or if you can, you're just like, oh, whatever, it looks good.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's a wig, but it's not too bad. But you couldn't look at her without being like, holy shit, that wig.
This looks like the kind of wig that they normally use in movies, and in the movie it's a wig. Which, if I've only just thought of this, but Travis's mum died of cancer and Steph's always wearing a wig. I wonder if there's anybody who watched this and found out that when the mum died of cancer and they were like, oh, she's got cancer, that's why she's wearing a wig. Nope. She's just wearing a crap wig.
Yeah, no, this movie is not that good. They could have had that. They could have done that.
Yeah, they could.
That she shaved her head or something.
They could have done anything.
Yeah.
Anything else. And you know what? That's too mean. Like I was saying before, you said a bit of it as well. Little tiny changes and just tiny little changes and adding more detail, cutting out certain things. Like, Monica didn't even need to be in it at all.
No.
Because they wanted to show that he's like a solitary character. Monica could have just been in it as in that one scene where he gets a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
She didn't have to be the Boomerang. She didn't have to be Alexandra Daddario, which, damn.
She's a pretty lady.
Although, when she's in short shorts, like when she's introduced in that, because, and I'm not trying to get filthy here, but I just thought it was funny. She looks like a capital P because she has no butt and massive boobs. Lots of big boobs in this movie, though.
Yeah.
But
The actress, Teresa Palmer,
Australia's own Teresa Palmer.
Yeah, she was breastfeeding her 8-month-old child at the time, which is in the movie. He's a son.
The baby.
In the montage, the baby.
Yeah. And the photos that she...
Yeah, she was breastfeeding her son.
Yeah, the
while
photos...
they were filming this movie.
The photos...
That's why her tits were huge.
The photos of her and that baby were actually her and a baby.
Yeah,
so I was
her
like,
and her
wow,
baby.
those don't look photoshopped. Like, that's an actual...
Yeah.
Her with a, like, cuddled up to a baby. That's cool.
Yeah. Apparently her son was on set, like, all the time because obviously she was breastfeeding, so he couldn't be away. So, yeah. That's sweet.
That is sweet. Again, all the behind-the-scenes stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, aw,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's nice. Oh, they're all such good friends. Oh, I wonder what the finished product's going to be like.
Yep. Bad.
It's crap. One of the very few only interactions in, like, that feels real in this movie is when Travis and Ryan meet. Which we touched on before, but it feels very real, like an awkward encounter
Yeah.
between two people who don't really know each other, and it's weird that and again, all of these people are hot, they're superstars, you know, they're all hot young people, so it's just like, hey, he's good looking enough to play Superman, boyfriend, here's my attractive neighbor, and I'm your attractive girlfriend. And you can just tell that it's like, there's no anger there.
But you're like, that's weird.
It's just like, yeah. And he'd probably would have heard of Travis, because I imagine he'd have a reputation for all
Yeah.
those girls that he's apparently slept with.
Yeah.
That none of them ever said no. None of them.
Nobody's ever said no to me.
They never got the chance.
Horror movie.
Yeah, we're not making light of that sort of stuff. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said no to you before? No.
Well, I'm making history.
It makes my skin crawl.
It's so weird.
Mostly because I'm upset that it didn't just pivot into a horror movie. How good would that have been?
Yeah.
Ryan goes away. This stupid woman is like, I want to fuck. And then gets murdered.
By her neighbour,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then it's just the perfect crime. And Monica boomerangs because she knows what he does and keeps coming back thinking that he's not doing it anymore. And then she comes and he's like got trash bags full of blood and she's like, oh, not again.
Yeah. And then the sister's like, you're in trouble because she knows he's going to kill her.
Yeah. Oh. Honestly, but like no, dead set. Release a movie and say it's written by Nicholas Sparks. Like he didn't write the book, but he wrote the screenplay. Just like cut out the middleman, right? And have the trailers be like a typical Nicholas Sparks whatever. But then when the movie's released, just halfway through, it just turns into a horror movie.
It would work.
That would be so good.
Yep.
Especially because this movie made a lot of money in the States. It made 81% of its gross earnings, I saw on the thing before.
Yeah.
And it has a 61% score on Rotten Tomatoes from audience and an 11% from critics. But I reckon that there would have been a lot of people who would have gone and seen that. And then when people catch on, like word of mouth spreads that that happens, all the horror movie fans would go and watch it.
Yeah. Change the music in this movie and change a few little things and you've got a horror movie.
I don't reckon you need to change the music too much. I reckon, like, that movie, The Voices,
Yeah.
like, it'd be kind of like that.
Yeah.
You go in, I mean, you know that he's a murderer and that, but the trailers give off a very different vibe. It's such a sad movie.
A critic described this movie as a predictable recycled mess, which I think is spot on for what this movie is.
Yeah. I'm just going to run through my notes here for anything we haven't touched on. I wrote, apparently Gabby doesn't come easy, which is what Steph reckons, even though she invites him on a date and then fucks him that night.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you want me because I'm easy, but I'm not easy. You're the easiest thing since eating butter. Just slides right down your gullet. Just, what a joke.
Yeah, there was no fight there. He invites her out for one outing on the boat, and then that night they're having sex.
Yeah, which, that wasn't even a romantic thing. That just seemed like him being polite because they're neighbours.
Yeah, on a friend, like, it was with all his friends.
Is the story about the elderly couple who dance together a lot and then move to the old folks' home about on Cedar and Marsh a Notebook reference? It is not.
No.
Because that is in South Carolina and this is in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought of. And maybe it's a reference to one of the other books.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's just like, that's just a nice love story. And the fact that it reminded me of the Notebook sort of goes to show that even though I don't like romance or those like schmaltzy, just romance and nothing else happens stories, that I still think of that as a love prevailing type of movie.
Good movie.
There's an actual normal romance in this movie between Shep and Alice.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Cute. Yeah.
I just wrote, this is not love. Both choices happen off screen, as we talked about. This is terrifying. Imagine telling this story later was about the proposal and just their whole relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what are they going to say when their kids ask, how did you meet?
Well, you see, kids, your mother and I, she lived in that house over there and I lived in this house here, and I had a barbecue during the middle of the day when you're supposed to have barbecues, presumably on a Sunday. And she hated that with a passion.
She really hated it.
Just those sorts of noises. And then I played some music specifically to piss her off, which is fair. And then we had an argument, and then I don't remember much after that. We had a lot of sex.
She cheated on her boyfriend.
Oh, that's right.
Your mother's a cheater.
She had a boyfriend. I completely forgot because she acted like a single person. Never even showed any hint of not wanting to cheat on her boyfriend. Was just like, that was great the whole time. Her boyfriend very rightfully punched me in the face and should have stomped my head in, but, that was fair. And then I demanded that she marry me.
Even though she said no repeatedly.
I loved her and I knew that she loved me. And if there's anything that I know, it's true love will always prevail. And if anyone ever tries to stand in the way of true love, it will destroy them. Anyway, good night, kids.
No, and then I was a dickhead and didn't show up to date night on time twice.
But they asked how.
Yeah.
They weren't like, hey, Mum and Dad, can you tell us what happened in the
story.
movie of The Choice?
I'm so glad we never have to watch this movie again.
I will just... The $10 we wasted, because we had to rent it twice.
Yeah.
Just makes me angry thinking about it.
Big waste.
Oh, the scene with Shep teaching his son just the worst lesson. Just the worst life lesson or business lesson you can teach someone. For anybody who hasn't seen it and is just here for the lols, good decision. But Shep, I just love saying the name Shep. There's this little, they run a veterinarian clinic.
Father and son
yes.
clinic, yeah.
And he is, typical small town guy. Everyone knows him, and like the woman Alice comes in all the time just to see him. But there's this little girl who brings in her lizard that is clearly dead. And he gets the receptionist to buy another lizard that's the same breed and replaces it. And then says to Travis, that little girl out there, that little 10-year-old girl, she probably doesn't even know what death is. Imagine taking this out there and exposing her to that. The longer that we can safeguard kids from the horrible cruelty that this world doles out on a regular basis is, for the best. As much as we can do that, the better. And Travis is like, you should just be honest. And he's like, no, you go do it. And sends him out there. And Gabby and the receptionist, Cora?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, yay. Oh, that's so good. And I'm like, what? What? The mum was probably sitting there like, shit.
Yeah. Because the mum would have known that the lizard was dead.
And she's probably like, oh, I've just been avoiding that talk for 10 years. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to teach my kids what death is. Oh, where'd Grandma go? She just hates us now. She left. Where did Uncle Terry go? Oh, he went off in a boat one day. Oh, what happened to the dog? He ran away. Farm. He hates you. The dog hates you. Don't try and contact these people or that dog. Well, we just hit a cat with our car and its head came off. What happened to it, Mum? Oh, that's just something that the cats do. Cats, their heads just come off. Oh, the lizard, he's not breathing and he won't drink water and he won't eat and he's upside down and he's gone all stiff. What happened to him, Mum? That's just something that lizards do. They just sleep, darling. Like, crap parenting from the mum, crap parenting from Shep, crap business practice, and if anyone out there is like, oh, you should really protect kids from that, she's 10. And any 10-year-old who doesn't know what death is probably not long for this world, because they're going to go, yeah, I'll just go swing on some power lines. I'll just go wade out into the ocean. Oh, what's that, a crocodile? I'll slap it. Like, duh.
Yeah.
And if you want some evidence of how that kind of stuff should be handled, watch a little show called Bluey. It's an Australian show, and it's in America as well. It's very famous.
Mm.
And any parent out there has probably at least heard of it. And it's a fantastic show about a family of dogs, but it's like in that world the dogs are people.
Yeah.
And there's an episode where Bluey, the main character, a little girl, and her dad come across a small bird that looks like it's been attacked by a cat or something. And they take it to the vet, and it dies at the vet. And the girl, Bluey, knows that that's a possibility. Knows that the bird could die. You know, like, so she already knows what's up. And as most kids do, I knew what death was by the time I was 6, absolutely. What about you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And the dad says, we don't know if the bird's going to survive. He was pretty banged up. And then the vet nurse comes out and says, I think it's the vet, I can't remember, and says, I'm very sorry, the bird died. It's really sad. And then there's like the rest of the episode is about Bluey coming to terms with the fact that things don't always turn out good, and sometimes animals die, and things won't go the way you want them. That is the right lesson to teach your kids.
Yeah.
Not, hey, 10-year-old who somehow thinks we're all immortal. I'm not going to shock you with the fact that Liz... How has she never
Has she never
encountered
killed a
death?
bug?
Exactly. And sure, maybe the little girl does know what death is and all that sort of stuff, and we're going off on the wrong idea there. Shep, Dr. Shep, is so dumb for thinking that that's a good lesson to teach people. And I understand that he's so sad because he lost his wife, but he's a very religious man. And in my experience, the lesson that you normally teach kids when you're somebody who's of any sort of certain faith, I'm not going to get into that side of it, normally you would teach them that while the animal or person or whatever has died, it's moved on. So the kid can learn and come to terms with it in whatever form that may be, but just flat out, and I think that's a good way to go with it. You're teaching the kid that change and death and whatever happens, but by just being like, no, your lizard has survived everything that's ever happened to it, is so bad and dangerous.
Yeah.
And then, why is that there?
That was a weird scene.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be there.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, is Travis going to get a new wife and then just take her home to the kids and be like, this is your mum?
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. Is that what he was going to do?
Oh my god, I don't know.
But I just don't understand it because...
There was no point to that scene.
But there was no point to the wind chimes. There was no point to her coming back from the dead. There was no point to her cheating on her boyfriend. But seriously, there was no setup for any of that.
No.
I just don't get it. I don't get what the point of this movie was.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was just bad. And for the most part, boring bad. You could have fun with it like a drinking game, like every time... Gabby has that stupid fucking look on her face when she's like, ooh, ooh,
I'm
Travis.
cheating on my boyfriend with that Travis boy.
Take a shot, you'll be dead halfway through. Or every time Travis is like, you bother me.
Oh my god. I hate that. We have no idea why he has an accent. Nobody else has an accent.
Yeah, they do, but his is really strong. Which... The dad doesn't have it. The sister kind of has it. Gabby kind of has it on and off. And I think Ryan's dad has it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing that they didn't fully commit to. Yeah.
And it would make sense if Gabby didn't have it. Or even if Ryan didn't have it. You know, they could say, oh, he went off and was working somewhere else for like a decade and lost his accent. That's all normal. But I think that's it.
Yeah, do you want to rate? It's no surprise.
I'm going to say cash. No, I'm just kidding. There's no way.
It's no surprise that we are both rating this movie trash.
Hard trash.
Yeah.
No recyclable elements of this.
No.
It itself is very recycled.
Yeah.
It wants to be The Notebook so bad. And yeah, well, we should compare the two.
Yeah. It's very clear why this was at the bottom.
Yes.
It was bad movie.
Yeah. Sorry, you go.
I had good hopes for it because, you know, I usually like the Nicholas Sparks movies, and I've read some of the books, but I was very disappointed.
I was not disappointed. Actually, you know what? I was. Because I thought, I've seen some of those movies. It's probably just maybe a little bit more of a bland version of that. But it was actively bad.
Yeah.
And it didn't do anything new, but all the stuff that it did do had been done before and was worse and only half done. There was like 50 different things going on. And then nothing really got resolved. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Captain America Civil War, as we did in part 1 last week. This is part 2, obviously. And that is a Marvel movie and $1 billion grossing movie.
Yeah, big fan base.
Yeah.
Pretty clear why that one got...
You can't say that, though. This has a big fan base.
That's what I was going to
Sparks.
say. Yeah, that Marvel has a big fan base, but so does Nicholas Sparks. So it's a good comparison to see how...
I think it's romance fatigue. Because when you have a romance movie, I think a movie that's like a drama and the subgenre or whatever is romance, you have to have something going on. And I think that's the big problem with this movie is there's no big conflict. And again, the two big choices happen off screen. What a waste of time is that? Just a waste of potential. If you have the movie be not that good, but in those key scenes, they really drive it home.
Yeah.
This movie, I would be way more leaning towards cash. There are so many little changes they could have made to this movie that I would have probably really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and I don't
too.
like these kinds of movies. But
they just
not
missed
really
the mark on
it.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have Gabby suffer for cheating on her boyfriend. But she doesn't. We don't see her go through that pain or growth. She starts off an up herself like wanker who then cheats on her boyfriend. And then we don't see her suffer for that.
Yeah, no consequences.
And, she does go into a coma for 3 months, but it doesn't happen at the right time.
Yeah.
We don't see direct cause and effect. We see she does shitty things, gets away with it, has a happy ending. When that bad thing does come, gets out of it, has a happy ending.
Yeah.
And Travis is mostly just there. So, but... I don't know, like we watched Captain America Civil War and it's good and everything, but it was hard to talk about because there weren't many bits in it that were really made us feel like big, strong emotions.
Yeah.
Other than the ending, which go back and listen if you haven't. But the two of these up against each other, it just makes me feel like the fatigue of romantic or romance movies kicked in around this time. And obviously, 2016 was 8 years into Marvel's. Like, I don't think up until then they had a misfire. And after that, I don't think they've had any. Everything post Endgame, I'm not super up to date on everything, like with how they've gone. But I think I've seen just about all of them. But everything up until Endgame, there hasn't been anything bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's all been. They make a shit ton of money, even the early ones, it didn't make that much, you know, in quotes, that much. But this one made over $1 billion, and then The Choice made $23 million. So, yeah, there's not much to compare here.
Yeah. A good movie and a bad movie.
Yeah.
A bad movie that could have been a good movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's been done 1,000 friggin' times before, like we have said, just make some small changes and it could have been a way better movie.
Yeah.
It had potential, but it missed the mark.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have much more to say about it.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think that's unfortunate.
yeah, well, but I mean, like, it just feels like we've just sort of petered out. It's just, this movie sucks. It just wore us out.
Yeah.
It's not like this job, whatever you want to call it. What we're doing is fun. We get to watch movies and do the thing that we like to do privately, but
Put it out there.
put it out there and, potentially see what happens. It's early days yet, but we really enjoy it. But watching this movie twice and having to take notes on it and just all of this just feels so draining,
Yeah, like I said, I'm glad we never have to see this movie again.
Absolutely. Oh, what time period is the movie set in?
I don't know.
Because it's 2016. Unless it's set in 2009 and then the 7 years later is 2016.
Maybe.
Because the phone he has is like a phone from 2002 or 2005,
He's just a poor country boy, remember?
That's all I've got. Sorry, I was just double checking anything else I had in case I was forgetting something, but no. So, this has been The Choice.
Yep, that wraps up this episode. Part 2 of
2016.
2016. Yep.
Hi, Rob from the future here, doing the edit, and realised that we didn't talk about what's going to be up next week. We're going into the 90s. 1996, the highest grossing movie of that year was Independence Day. So stay tuned. Do you want to go see us out?
Thank you for listening. If you would like to support us, we've got a Patreon. And if you want, you can follow our Instagram. It is at Cash vs Trash Pod. And all our listening apps are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, and you can also find us on YouTube. We will have all the links in the description.
We are working on a Facebook page. Well, we're thinking about it.
And Twitter.
And Twitter. But Instagram's good enough, and it's early days yet. We haven't had any good bites.
Yeah, but please check us out.
Didn't mean to sound so sad there.
Yep. Please check us out, and thank you for listening.
This has been the Cash vs Trash podcast.
See ya.